Well, let's have a look at the map and you can talk us around. Great thing about Spa, being in the valley and then climbing up the hill again, the elevation is just brilliant. And what's that like from your perspective?
Yeah, I think it's one of the great ones. One of the few tracks now this year where we don't have that very black, very smooth tarmac. I think each year it seems to be more and more tracks getting resurfaced. Spa's been left untouched for this year, so we'll still get that kind of proper degradation. Whereas normally when you get that resurfaced tarmac, it's more thermal. It's more keeping the temperatures as low as possible. Okay,
now give us all your secrets. Let's have a look at turn 1 at Spa. La Source, the famous hairpin, hasn't really changed in radius ever since the circuit was built. We're going back to the 30s probably, when it was a proper road course going way out the back.
Yeah.
Is there a trick to La Source?
I wouldn't say there's a trick. It's one of the corners where it's kind of quite simple in the sense that it's a hairpin. So you brake straight, but it's easy to ruin the lap straight away. This is a 2-minute lap, so more or less, if you mess up from the beginning of the lap, it's over. So,
but how easy is if you lock an inside front going in? You can recover from that, right? Because you've got a lot of room on exit.
It's a wide exit. You will lose on exit. Obviously, the exit is important because you've got all that straight and afterwards. But it's more about just being clean. You can use a bit of that inside curb to rotate, and then that exit curb, you can use it. But then there's that little bit of a yellow sausage curb, a bit like what we have in Red Bull Ring. You don't want to get on that because then,
I hate those curves.
Yeah.
And then down the hill, the macho thing to say, oh, Eau Rouge is easy flat. But is easy an adjective you could describe to Eau Rouge, even if it is flat?
For me, with F2 especially, because of the limited track time, you basically have to do it flat from your first push.
Right.
And that does become very macho, as you said.
When you're approaching Eau Rouge, what are you looking at? If you're going down the hill, are you looking at an apex on the right side, or are you starting to look at your exit at the top of the hill through the peripheral vision? What are you?
For me, it's more, there's a sweet spot on the left curb, first of all. So you want to, if you take too much, you start to unsettle the speed. So you want to cut it, just because it gives you a more open line for the right. It's just about trying to reduce drag, basically.
So an uphill straight, interesting as well, elevation-wise. And then you come to that braking area at Les Combes at the top of the hill.
Yeah, it seems like this corner, the way it is, you see more overtakes here on the outside than almost any other track you go to. It's really an outside overtaking place.
I'd say so you got a good run out of 7 now, but then you come to probably what is the most frustrating corner in the history of frustrating corners in motor racing, turn 8, this downhill right-hander, constant radius, understeer City, Arizona.
Yeah, that's it. Understeer with the downhill part. And it's not cambered at all, really, so you only have understeer here.
Yeah.
And it's just about trying to drive around it. So setup-wise, you kind of throw us out the window a little bit, because you never are going to have, if you have oversteer here, I think the rest of the lap is very oversteer.
Yeah, so gotcha. So out of 12-13, Stavelot, the right-hander, I guess fairly straightforward. Curbs, again, an issue. But then coming up the hill, we come to Blanchimont, turns 16, 17, very, very quick. And you can be offline there, right?
Yeah, so it's an easy flat corner, which allows the possibility to go too wide.
What about in the wet?
In the wet, it's more difficult because it's so quick. You have to be on the dry line. You can be a little bit wider than that, but overtaking then starts.
Interesting you say the drive line, because you're a racing driver in a world where when it's really wet, they just put the safety car out, right?
Nowadays, yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting, isn't it?